Hello, this is Joan Turner, and I am the treasurer of the GHAA, which is the Greater Haverhill Arts Association. And I am here today in the studio of Ann Jones. She is she is the heart and soul of the GHAA, and she's also the president. And she is going to do a demo for us on how to track your art, which is a great interest for artists who, especially ones in the business. And there she is. Say hello, Miss Ann. Okay, and I'm going to hand this over to you. What are we talking about and how do we do it?
First of all, some clarification. I'm not the heart and soul.
She is. Don't listen to her.
I'm the president. I'm just like, I seem to be in front, so I take all the arrows just if there's a siege. But truly, it's the members of the board, people like Joni, that are the heart and soul of this place. So anyway, and I didn't realize she was going to be panning around my studio, and a lot of them are crooked.
No, they're fine.
Let me just say that Picasso once said that nobody looks twice at a painting unless it's crooked. My excuse.
I like that. I like
anyway,
that.
This demo is a brief one about tracking your art, and it's a low-tech version. I do have an online, I do have a couple of spreadsheets. I have one that is a very basic listing of my every work, and I have another for accounting, expenses, income, outgo, what have you. But I found that that was awkward for me for keeping track of the size of a painting. Did I already enter it in that particular show? What is the deadline for the other exhibit? When do I have to pick up? What is the size of a painting framed? Where did I put that and how long is it going to be out? So I just created a very low-tech system, and it consists of index cards,
Nice,
plain or lined as you wish, and of course the index
dividers
for that. I have 3 file boxes. One is, and it's good to get them color-coded so you're not opening each one. I learned the hard way. One is for my art, my current art, everything that I have ready to go. The second one is for exhibits, and I'll talk more about each of these. Oh, and by the way, if you're out there taking notes and you don't really want to take notes, I have 2 sheets to send you.
Yeah.
All you have to do is, after you see this, for clarification, it's good to watch, just email info@gha.art, and I will email you the crib sheets.
Can they get on the website as well?
No, just have them email.
Just email.
Yeah,
okay.
I think that's best. We might put it on the website, but don't take a chance.
Okay.
Okay. So I have, these are exhibits, and notice it's thin times a week. It used to be.
Yeah, it used to be full, right? Yeah.
I also have one that I call archives, and I'll talk more about that later.
Yeah, that one's full.
Yeah, I might need to rework that particular aspect. But essentially, I use the index cards. I use an index card for each artwork. 1 card per artwork. And let's see.
How important is it that we be that? I don't do that. I'm just wondering, how important is it to be this organized, to know where everything is? Is it just an Ann Jones thing, or is it really help organize? But what's the benefits to doing all this cool
work
stuff?
For everybody. I've explained it to a few people, and one of them said, "I just can't do it that way." You know, you try it on for size. It's
or
cheap.
some version of some version of it would work.
Of it.
Yeah.
And I did a workshop in March. That was our last live workshop. And there were about 10 people, I think, in attendance.
Nice.
And I think all of them were very excited about the whole thing. And I don't know whether they went home and did it.
Well, I have a feeling that it really works out well, and I mean, you do really well, but I'm not sure I know how many, I'm not sure I know a lot of people who do it. So
Well,
this is,
not too many now, but maybe
yeah, I was going
to.
to say this might be a good catalyst.
Okay.
Good, good.
So for each artwork, I have a card, and on the front, that's just a sample. On the front, I put, when I start it, I usually just put down the year. Usually I finish them the same year, but there are exceptions.
Yeah, I was going to say exceptions.
And when I do finish it, I go back and put down the date I finished it, say 9/21. Then I put the image size, not where it's going to be looking like finished, framed, but the image where I will frame it to.
Okay.
At least what I anticipate. Sometimes I change my mind and crop it because I don't like what's over there.
Yeah, you can do that because you're doing watercolor. Try doing that with a canvas.
I know.
Yeah.
I should say also that because I work in watercolor, there will be some variations
Sure.
on this. Take what's useful, discard what isn't. So image size. And then under this, I put brackets because this indicates to me that this is the matted size.
So it's your own shorthand or symbolism.
Right.
Gotcha.
Matted size.
Okay.
And of course, if you're not doing watercolors or particular related artworks, you wouldn't be using this, but you could use this space for your frame size. And over here, later, if I decide to do framed, I can put framed size. This is the outside of the framed.
So it's a framed-in box.
Because sometimes exhibit venues will ask for the outside frame size. And I started doing this because I got tired of getting up to going to the studio, finding the painting, measuring it yet again.
Okay.
So this is a reference.
So that works. I just think it was cute that you put frame-sized in a framed box.
Right.
I like it.
And over here, and some of these I won't do until after I'm done with the painting, obviously, but I start the card whenever I start a painting. I put price. Now this price is
Matted
and
size.
sleeved. This price is if I frame it.
Okay, so question. Framed price, do you go by how much it cost you for the frame?
Oh, please, that's a whole other thing.
That's a whole other demo.
No, it's not even another demo. It's just like, there is no rhyme or reason for so much of it. I mean, I have a loose formula, not even a formula, just, that's another whole story.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we can find someone who gives us the magic
formula.
The magic word.
I just from a logical standpoint, I would think whatever it cost you to frame it would be included in the cost of the finished picture.
I do all my own framing.
Oh, God love you. All right.
So that I can keep the costs
down.
Gotcha.
Because
I hate to try to sell a painting in which the frame has cost as much, if not more, than the work itself.
It's a good idea.
So, and then in the upper left corner, I put title. And I do it in pencil if it's a working title. But a lot of times my inspiration actually comes from a great title that I just got, and I get a concept or an image to go with that. It's like, wow. Totally. Sometimes it's a line from a poem or something.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay. Then I put the medium. I actually don't, but unless it's a different medium than watercolor, because that's assumed for me to be watercolor. But if I use, and I do some, I do some lino cuts, I do some drawings, I do some collage, some mixed media.
Mm-hmm.
So, then I would enter what the medium
Yeah.
is to distinguish it from everything else that I was doing.
Sure, it's a great idea. Some artists are working in a number of different mediums.
Right. Then I have any special notes, and I'll give you a few examples. For example, am I experimenting with a particular new pigment? Am I trying out a new paper or a new weight of paper, a new finish? Am I experimenting in any other way? And also, I put down here, if this is a successful painting and I don't just throw it out, and it goes to a show and it gets an award, I would put down later, I would add if it received an award. Then I put down here when sold or given or donated. Wide angle, huh? And the date and to whom. And if I have it, I put down address and contact information in that.
So you do that, and I have done that in the past. Is it because, like when I did a show, I did 2 shows, I called everyone who had those and asked them if I could borrow it back for the demo. And they all said yes except for one. So
Well,
why do you do that? So that you
good question. I don't know if I've ever
borrowed it back?
I've never borrowed it back, but sometimes a person who actually, I have a couple of people who collect my work, and if I have something that interests them,
you'll
I
call
can
them.
let them know.
Okay.
Or let them know of a show coming up where a painting that is in it might be useful.
Okay, cool.
You know, interesting to them. Okay, so that's the artwork card, the front.
That's the front. Okay.
And again, it's negotiable, what works for you. Now, oops, sorry about the noise.
Well, this is good. I think it gives a basic template for people to work with.
And the first card I have in here, the first separator, has all this information here.
Okay.
So that I don't even look at it anymore because it's so automatic. But, you know, if you're new to it and you wanted to be able
Tweak
to remember it,
Mm-hmm.
check everything, and make sure you were being consistent and not forgetting things, then I think it's a good idea to have it there. I also have 2 sections because I have some matted and some framed work. I have framed work and I do it alphabetically by title. And I have matted work and that's alphabetically by title. Okay? Now, I'm going to do a little aside here. This isn't actually part of my cataloging system, but I found it very, very useful. And so I'm just going to show you what I put on the back of the card.
Okay, cool.
The back of the card this, so I'm not confused, so I don't forget what I'm doing. On the back of the card, I put these things, and I'll explain them. The focus.
Of the
focus
picture.
means
The picture?
Yes,
Ah,
the
okay.
subject.
Okay.
What it's all about. The focal point, if you will. Okay? And then I put the locus, which is just a fancy word for place.
Okay.
And I do it this way. It's kind of because I'm a visual person, right? I have...
Well, as an artist, we would expect nothing else.
I do like a tic-tac-toe grid.
Okay.
And then... And I do this because when I first started painting, I took 2 workshops with the same person. And darned if he didn't say the same thing to me in the second workshop, I should have learned, you never put the focal point in the center of interest in the center of the painting.
Correct.
And I was doing it all the time. So I put this here, which
That's
is like
because
no man's
you're so
land.
neat. Yes.
And then, so if I'm thinking about this before I start the drawing, I will remember not to put this here. I will say already that I think a good place for it would be here. Or here, or here, or here, you know. Or here. Or
Any place that's
sometimes
not the middle?
Yeah, any place.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you an example in a while that I did, and it was daisies, and I did 3 daisies. So the daisies might be here, the 3 of them.
Okay.
To keep, you know, that focal of interest
Plus
where
it's
it
balanced.
needs to be. Okay?
Yeah.
So then I put shapes, because big shapes are important for design. And so I make sure that I will put down foreground, middle ground trees, distant mountains. I will lump them all together like sky and mountains, because they were close in value because they were so far away and misty. But this is essentially the design.
So would that be the same as the composition? You're balancing and trying to figure out where everything goes?
The idea of looking at big shapes.
Big
and
shapes.
You never want 3 shapes the same size.
Right.
You want to vary. And so if you're being, this little exercise before I start a work keeps me from making stupid.
That's a
big
great
mistakes.
idea. That's a great idea.
Doesn't always work, but
I'm thinking for myself. That's a great. I'm learning as I'm going along here.
okay. Now the light, you want to be consistent in the direction of light, and when you're outdoors painting, as I like to do, you have to work fast to block in where the light, mostly where the shadows are, where it's non-light.
Right.
And that's really important. When I'm in the studio, I want to make sure that I think in terms of lighting a still life, for example, it's coming from, this is basically direction. And I show it with an arrow. If it's coming from there, I'll do here. If it's coming, if it's backlit, I would do that.
Do what if it's backlit? Because I do, top left, top right. What do you do if it's backlit?
That's
backlit?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And this is from this side up. This would be lower. And if the light is behind me.
Mm-hmm. What about if it's right in front of you? Like if you have a bowl of fruit and you put a spotlight right in front. Where would you put it?
Well, it would be like here, but on this side or that side.
Okay, you wouldn't put it right in front is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay.
Because you want to balance the
You want to see shadow.
elements.
Okay, believe it or not, I have a student who puts them right in front.
Oh, well, feel free to pass this on.
Well, definitely.
Temperature. You always have some cools and warms in any painting, but you want a predominant feel. And so it's whether it's going to be warm or cool. I work so much in warm, but every now and then I do a cool.
So warm and cool, do you decide by subject matter whether it's going to be a warm or cool picture or just whatever you feel? How do you decide warm or cool?
Light, season, time of day. There's so many factors.
So you're thinking reality, right?
Well, I'm thinking about the whole feel. What do I want this painting to feel cool?
Right.
Like a winter scene. Although not always. Sometimes winter scenes, the snow with the sun is out, it can feel quite warm. And the shadows will be your cool component. Okay. But that's a
you
very
make that decision.
thing.
You make that decision beforehand.
I usually do, because the first wash is going to determine the direction it goes.
That's true. That's true.
Since I can't erase.
No, you can't. Although we find tricks.
Oh, there are
find
some,
tricks.
Yeah, those are different demos.
Different demos.
Then I have values. And this is, again, because values for me was the hardest thing ever to learn. And what I try to do is determine ahead of time I mean, you might have a high key painting, which is all like values 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. You might have a really dark painting, which throws it to the other end, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. But I try to decide ahead of time, and I often do a little value study just to make sure.
Yeah.
Not always, but I should do more. Okay, so I go, is it from 1 to 10? Is it from 3 to 8? Whatever, I try to determine ahead of time where my real darks are going to be, where my brights are going to be, and how many gradations, how many values in between there. And then last but not least, these are 7 wonderful things to remember. Colors. And here I choose my palette. And this is a working list here, because I will put down before I start what I think will work. But on most of my cards, there's something crossed off because I decided not to go with that, and there's something added. That's very negotiable too. Okay, so this is the back of my artwork card. And again, you may not want to be bothered with this, but I just share it because it works so well for me.
Yeah, and your pictures are absolutely beautiful. You're a multi-award-winning artiste, so everyone should pay attention to what you have to say, my darling.
Take it with a grain of salt, though. Okay. All right, now I'm going to show you what the exhibit card looks like. Oh, actually, before I do that, maybe I should just show you. I have a daisies card out. Okay? This is, I have all of this information down here. I did it in April. The image size is 8 by 10. The matted size is 10 by 14.
10 by 14?
Yeah.
Did you make that?
No.
It's got to be 11 by 14.
Yeah.
11 by 14?
No, it happens to be 10 by 14.
Really? Nice.
And the outside of the frame adds 2 inches to it, so it's actually it's a little over an inch, so it's like 13 by 17.
Did you make that frame?
No, it's a standard gallery frame.
Really?
Not very expensive one. But I do like them. They're
very nice.
They're bamboo, and they're from Jerry's Artorama, and I use them a lot. Thank you. And I made a note here that this is rough paper, which I don't always use.
Okay, you're referring to the watercolor paper.
Right.
Okay.
I use Arches 140 cold press typically. Okay. I never use hot press just because it doesn't work for me.
Hot press is smooth, and cold press is a rough surface, correct?
And then there's rough,
rough,
which is rougher.
Rougher.
And depending on what you're doing, anyway, I experiment with different ones. And I also experimented with background and some of the blues. I don't use Prussian blue very much, but I did use it in this. It's very cool.
I want to get a teensy bit closer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I did it in layers. I used some plastic wrap crunched up when I did the background. Cool. This was, of course, because it's daisies, it was done negative space.
Yeah. Tell them what negative space is.
That means you paint what isn't daisy. And then, of course, you go back into the petals and you refine and what have you. But
so the white of the daisy is the white of the paper.
Exactly.
And then you went in and put in the shadow areas.
So gotcha. I put down first 4 different blues, depending on this would have been Prussian, this would have been cobalt, and segueing into ultramarine. Nice. And the deepest are indanthrene, which I like.
Say again?
Indanthrene blue.
Indanthrene?
Indanthrene is one of my favorite dark blues. It's not as caustic acidy or sharp as Prussian. It's a little bit.
Okay.
It still is a cool dark blue, but
Never
it's
heard of it.
and it's non-staining. I don't I don't use staining pigments much at all. And then I put the plastic wrap on it, scrunched it around to give it some texture, and then I let that dry, and then I went over it again and I made the note here so I knew how I got there in case I ever want to do it again.
In case I don't like that.
No, in case I like it and want to replicate it. Then I went over it with Hooker's Green and Windsor Yellow.
With the crunched up paper.
And wet it, and then I put the crunched up paper again.
Okay.
And let it dry.
Yeah, I want to make sure they can really see it because the texture on here is absolutely amazing.
I know, but you're getting the reflection from
That's
the
okay. I'm getting
glaze.
it. I'm getting good.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, and on this, you'll see I did 3 daisies is the focus, and I showed you where I put them. The shapes were the foreground, all connected, and actually the whole thing, the whole background is like one shape, essentially. And then the daisies, because they're all linked, are another shape. The light is from that direction, and I use values 1 to 9.
The light is from
It was from
upper
over there.
right?
Yeah, upper right.
Okay, cool.
Hence the shadows,
Yeah,
cast
I'm
by
looking to see where the shadows are the darkest, which
Yes.
is over here.
and where the shadows from one petal onto the other.
The other.
So that's the example. Again, this was an aside. You don't have to go here, but
Well,
this is...
before you do
yes.
that, okay, I have another question.
Yes.
I always sign mine exactly in the same place. Yours are in different places.
Right.
How do you decide where to sign? How do we decide where to sign these babies? Oh,
Well,
this one's down where I usually sign.
I go for lower right,
Yeah.
but
Not there and there.
No, actually what I do, I look for a place where it can be found,
Yeah.
but that
Doesn't
it's very
overwhelm.
subtle,
Yeah.
because I really don't want it to be the first thing that somebody sees.
You don't want to overwhelm anyone, huh?
Right.
Okay. How do you get those pictures up there? You get on the ladder and put them up there?
Yep, I have a step
God
stool.
love you. Okay.
Okay.
You could stay here and just look around at all these things, which we'll do while she's getting stuff ready.
Okay, we're going on to exhibits. And my exhibit card, again, and I will send anyone this sheet who wants
And make sure
it.
you get them from her because this is good.
Again, I put on the front, I use a divider to put down what I'm going to be telling you.
It's like a little template.
Yeah, and I will truly, I will never refer to that again because, okay, so I'll show you what's out there now. Not much.
Bragging.
Not much. And I haven't even dismantled the art festival one. I'll come to that. Right now I have at the Grog this, I have all these paintings. Oh, that's the thing. When I choose to put paintings in, I remove them from here, from my file, and obviously they'll mostly be framed ones. I'll take them out of here, and I'll put them in back of the card for the exhibit.
Okay.
And either paper clip them or use an elastic if it's particularly thick. That's so that I'm not looking for a painting for another show and forget that it's been promised or is already somewhere.
I have done that one.
I know. Well, see, this is why.
This is why.
And I do it as soon as it's promised. Even if it's a jury show and I don't even know if it gets in, I need to take it out of circulation. So I put it with the venue card.
Totally. That's great. That's good.
And I have one at it's an online show at the Newburyport Art Association, and I have the Art Festival online, which actually it still should be here because people can still go and look. So I don't want to take the cards of the paintings out and put them back in the
Now
their
that
file.
raises the question. All right, we just did a first online art festival, and that can be viewed. So how long are you going to keep it available, as this is our first online?
Yeah.
So we don't
haven't
have a
discussed
guideline for
do
that. We don't have a guide. We had a couple of sales from that, by the way, just
Which
as an
is
offside. Yes, we're
wonderful.
super excited. Yes.
And then I have an upcoming, and I have 2 shows upcoming with any luck in November and December at the Hamilton Wenham Library, and in November our GHAA holiday show, and then I have perspective.
Ah.
Okay, and I'm going to show you all of this on here anyway.
Okay.
But I submitted some work to the grassroots exhibit at the Rockport Art Association. And again, I had to take them out of circulation. They may not get in. One may get in, maybe all 3, I doubt it, but I'll be lucky if one gets in. But I keep them clipped here, but because it hasn't been confirmed, I don't move it to even upcoming. I wait to have it confirmed.
So that one's in a waiting pattern there.
And then I have some other cards where I occasionally have an art show. For example, every few years the Anna Jakes Hospital has an art gallery, and they call me and I usually put them in. It helps to benefit their aid program.
Yep.
So now I'll show you.
Look at those slippers.
I use a different color just to make sure.
Just to make sure we can see.
Okay.
Always thinking. And she says she's not the heart and soul.
This is really very, the exhibit card, I put down the exhibit title, like grassroots exhibit at the Rockport Art Association. Put down the venue. Let me finish one thing before I go on, girl. The venue.
You want to switch to black? We might be able to see it a little bit better. I'm seeing green, but I'm not able to make out the words unless I get right on top of them. So I'm thinking for the sake of the camera.
Absolutely. So I'll always send it to you. Exhibit.
There we go.
Better?
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry, I'm not being very accurate here.
That's all right. Now, you were a teacher in your other life, so I keep looking for typos and misspelled words. And I'm not finding any. I'm just like really disappointed here.
As long as you're not working on my penmanship.
No, not any penmanship. I'm really digging the slippers here. I really liking them. Okay.
So it's the exhibit titled The Venue or Gallery, whatever, you know. And then I put the address. And I put contact information. I like having a person. It can be the person, the point person for this, and email, if I can get it, phone, if I can get it. I just like different ways of being able to contact them if I need it.
Sure.
Up in this corner, I put the entrance fee. Maybe it's $20 per painting, $35 for 3, whatever, I don't know. And I also put down if the venue takes a percentage and what that is.
Yeah, because that you're using that in order to price things correctly. Is that what that?
I don't change my prices.
Depending on the percentage, doesn't matter.
The only exception is if I'm doing a show in Boston, my prices will be a little bit higher.
And that is because
that's because it's the
area is a little bit more. Yeah.
Mostly, I like to keep I don't want to bury myself in painting, so I like to keep them affordable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I put down the year
of the exhibit. Okay.
I put down the dates of the exhibit.
Okay, so this card is all about the exhibit.
Right.
Okay.
Dates of exhibit, opening and closing.
Reception, that's my favorite part.
Exhibit.
Brownie reception.
First there's a drop off,
Ah, yeah, true.
and then there is the reception.
Yay.
And then there's the pickup. This is because when you have a lot of shows going on, paint is going in, umpteen different directions, I need to make sure that I don't forget
Yes.
when to pick it up. And you might also put in here, there are other things you could put in, like you could put in deadline to submit. Right?
Yeah, that was a good one because a lot of people forget the submission deadline and they just think about when the work needs to be there.
Right. And also sometimes I'll put in, actually this would be up here too. I would put in somewhere the notification date, which was helpful because I had submitted something to New England Watercolor Society for their biennial national show, and I had submitted it and put down the notification date. And when I got word that the grassroots was coming, the deadline was a few days before, so I had to make sure that I didn't offer anything that I could not.
Yeah, you have to coordinate your time.
Right.
Absolutely.
I also put down here, is it juried? If it's juried, I don't bother putting anything if it's not juried. And if it is, I put down who is the juror and if it's accepted.
Why the juror? You want to know who's doing the judging?
Yeah, I just as a note. I don't think it ever means anything, but
I wonder because I'm sure as a juror, the juror probably has certain preferences, I would think.
Well, and it's kind of a standing joke. We'd always try to second guess what this juror, if you've seen their work or seen what else they've juried in elsewhere, but there's no rhyme or reason.
There really isn't. And what I have found in the past, and you can tell me if you've had this, I actually did. I was being nice. By being the teacher, she caught it. With the juror, typically when you're judging a show, there's typically more than one piece that deserves first place or second place, something like that. So when you have 3 pieces in a show of 1,000 pieces, and all 3 of them match the criteria for first place, how do you choose which one gets first place? That's when the preference of the juror kicks in.
Yeah. All things
considered. Yeah.
There is a subjective element.
There is, for sure.
Then, and this doesn't usually take up this much room, here I list the title, and if there's more, I do, and so on. Then later I will go back, if it took an award, I'll put an award down here. I did this on the card itself for the painting, but it's good to know that at this venue, this juror, that particular, because the grassroots is every year, for example.
Plus you get to know what the juror likes.
Right. It took an award.
Cool.
It got in, it took award, and if it's sold. So that's my exhibit card.
Love it.
Okay, now on the, I'm not going to rip this, I'm just going to write it. It's such a noisy. Okay, my working exhibit file, and this is what I was showing you. I have current exhibits. I have upcoming. and I have perspective. Those are jury shows, or maybe one I've just kind of done. I've done some preliminary checking at a place and they think they might like to have my work there or something of the sort. Okay, now the only other thing left to show you is my archives file, and I'll just put this up because I already have it from the workshop I did.
Oh, cool.
Okay. This is my working exhibit, as I said, and this is my archives. Essentially, I have 3 sections. I have sales, and I have gifted gifts, and I have past exhibits. And you're right, it's getting kind of crowded, and that's because my first exhibit ever was in 2002, this month then.
Oh, okay.
And I've kept, every time an exhibit ends, it goes in here, and I put the most recent in the front. And when I give something, I do the same thing. Only on, you know, I have the exhibit card, and if it was a gift, I put down the person's name or a donation, and then if it's a sale.
Nice.
Okay, so before I sign off, I just want to remind everybody that if you would like a copy of this so that you didn't have to take notes phonetically while I yacked, then just email info@gha.art, and I will be glad to send an email with these attached for your use.
Okay, so now
Free to you.
free to you. Now shamelessly plug the GHAA in general, membership, website, all that good stuff.
The Greater Havel Art Association, very excited to be turning 50 next year. Not everybody is excited about 50, but that's a good
But it
number
is for us, yeah.
And we're dreaming up all sorts of wonderful things to be doing throughout the year after the pandemic's over and all of that. The Greater Havel Art Association has a wonderfully active membership, a great board of directors.
Absolutely.
Absolutely wonderful board of directors, all volunteers. And it only costs membership.
She's saying that because I joke all the time and say she makes the big money, but we don't pay her really.
I put in for double my salary, but that turned out to be zero.
Zero, right. 0 times 2.
But we have a lot of wonderful things happening.
Yeah.
Typically, and I'm saying typically because a few things are on hold, like our Saturday workshops. We have...
Well, that's why we're doing the demos online in place of those, so we keep everyone active.
Engaged,
yes.
But to know that reserve those second and fourth Saturdays of every month for either an online demo or until we're able to resume the art workshops.
Sure.
And those are, it's just a $5 donation, and we have little ones, we have big ones, we have people in all media. Some people put up their easels and a drop cloth. Some people sit on the floor and draw. It's a very relaxed drop in, drop out kind of
very
situation.
laid back. It's a laid back gig, we call it.
And Mark Hayden, who's a Copley master, is the teacher who circulates. He mentors. We call him a mentor because it's more, he doesn't stand up and teach. He moves around and mentors people.
Yeah, one-on-one, kind of one-on-one help. Absolutely.
And
good.
He's great in all mediums. He's well-versed, an exceptional teacher. So we're looking forward to having that resume. In the meantime, we have, typically we have 6 to 8 exhibits a year. We have the one we were supposed to have at the library this month and next won't happen because this gallery area is not yet open. But we've moved it to January, February. That's coming up.
It's very exciting. Yes.
We plan still to have our holiday show in Ipswich at the Hall Haskell Gallery. And by the way, all of this information is in our newsletter. and on our website.
Online, yep.
And you can always sign up for the newsletter, get the newsletter via the website if you don't already get it. And you
Yep, get on the emailing list.
and you get on
You'll
the,
get it
put yourself
every
on the
single
list.
month. Yeah.
And the first of the month, the newsletter goes out and tells you everything that's happening.
Okay, website, www.havelaartassociation.org.
Yes.
Ah.
Or
Or,
http://
yes,
GHAA.art.
so either way. Plus, we have a Facebook presence. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways to get in touch with us.
Definitely.
Yes.
And I have to say that our communications chair, Debbie Shirley, has done an amazing job keeping that Facebook page as well as the website up to date. And she's been featuring the work of artists through this whole time.
Amazing.
To keep us engaged, in touch, and excited about work.
I know. I think it's awesome. It's awesome. It's a way to stay in touch when people are having a hard time staying in touch. Plus, we're always coming up with new ideas, and, this pandemic has a lot of opportunities in it as well as some negative points.
That's right.
But we're learning more about technology and how to reach people on a lot of different levels.
As with this.
So
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, absolutely. And again, this is Ann Jones, and you can get a hold of her through
info@ghaa.art.
Okay, and everyone have an awesome day. Bye-bye.